Hello.
Hi. Hey, how you doing?
What's going on?
Hey.
What's shaking out there in podcast land?
What's shaking in the actual on land is people talking about people not on land. As a recording of this particular edition of the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast, everyone's talking. They kind of remind me of, remember, was it the miners?
Yeah.
That we had? I can't remember what country that was in, but remember everyone was glued to the tube like, are they going to rescue these miners? I don't know if they're going to rescue these individuals who are stuck below the sea as of the recording of this podcast.
When you're listening to this, there's either been an amazing miracle and we're all happy, or they're dead.
Yeah, or they're gone. And they all paid...
Either way, what the hell?
Correct.
What the hell are we doing?
Why? It's very much like we had the conversation of why are you going up to Everest? There's nothing there. Why are you going back down to the Titanic?
I mean, I understand it's a compelling story, the hubris of saying it was unsinkable, maiden voyage, I mean, all that stuff, I understand. But, man, we cannot get enough of the Titanic. And I think it predates the movie. The movie obviously amplified it.
Right.
But it's not just the movie. I mean, we've always been compelled to this thing. But I cannot imagine in my wildest dreams if somebody said, get into this thing that somebody just made and go 2 miles under the water and go look at it.
And we all know how the Titanic ends.
Yeah.
Anything involved with Titanic is terrible, including that movie. The whole thing is terrible.
I mean, you're right. It is just bad juju. I mean, you're messing around.
You're messing around with stuff you shouldn't mess around with.
I mean, nature already said this is not a good place for people to be.
Right. And now you're taunting nature by going down there.
And
we're not mer people.
We've added 5 more to the casualty list of the Titanic 120 years later.
Possibly, as a recording of this. By the way,
shut up. You know how this is going to end. There is not.
No.
That would be
unbelievable. They paid $250,000 a person to get on this thing. Would you? It's the equivalent of if I had a choice, right? I could go to Disney World and be safe and sound, or someone can be in a parking lot with this new ride I just built here today. $250,000. You could be one of the ones to ride it. We don't know for certain if we're going to make it, but $250,000, you can ride. What are you doing?
You know, I was in New York, and I went to the 9/11 memorial. It's very somber, very poignant and everything.
Yeah.
That's still worlds different than saying, here, hop on this plane. We're going to fly dangerously close to skyscrapers so you can have the experience of what it was. What the hell is that? I mean, that is morbid beyond morbid. And these idiots... God rest their soul, because I'm predicting they're dead. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we listen to this later in the week and go, oh, well, I got stupid. But they're totally dead. They're totally dead.
Here's the thing. I'll let you continue your point, but I don't know if I'm really worried about Hamish Harding passing away. That sounds like a villain.
And other people who have done this and gone on this trip all say, well, it's not tourism. It's you're an adventurer. You're an explorer.
Oh, bull crap.
Like, screw you, an explorer.
You're not an explorer. Hey, Magellan, you're not going around the world there, you jerk.
It's really astonishing that this is even allowed.
Yeah, Hamish Harding is one of the guys' name. Paul-Henri Nargeolet, Ocean Gate CEO Stockton Rush, and Shahzada Dawood, a UK board member of the Princess Trust charity.
See, we got the wrong names. Those are rich names.
Those are very rich names.
You got those names, you're going to be rich.
Yeah, you got those names. You can pay $250,000 to get in a small tube and probably end up dead. So... Godspeed. Some miracle happened. Hooray! They're going to throw a ticker tape parade for Hamish Harding, but I don't know if they're going to be doing that.
This dude, an entrepreneur who had gone on this same trip a couple years ago, said basically it was a suicide mission back then. The first submarine didn't work. Then I dive at 1,600 meters, and it had to be abandoned. Everything about this, not only right before that voyage, the bracket of the stabilization tube, which balances the sub, tore and had to be reattached with zip ties.
No! No, zip ties, God bless them, but zip ties aren't meant for that kind of depth. No one is. We're not meant for that kind of depth.
The pictures from the robots that have gone on,
fine.
They're amazing. They're fascinating. They're haunting. It's really eerie to look
enough?
at. I don't need to go down there and look at that. That is amazing.
Yes. Just like if they were to say, hey, I got this thing. You can go into the volcano and check out the lava. No. Yeah. No, thank you.
Here's what it's like to be burned alive at Pompeii.
Yeah. No, I don't want that full experience.
Come on our Krakatoa adventure.
Yeah, enjoy. All of that. Exactly. B.
Man, I feel bad, but I don't.
No, I don't.
That's the thing. That's the conundrum I have is I feel terrible, but I also don't.
I also correct. It's like you paid $250,000 for this. Like if it's someone who won a contest and even said yes, I may feel a little bit bad there, but you paid to be an idiot.
It seems like getting back alive would be the adventure. That would be
that's
the
the adventure. It's not seeing the Titanic.
It's like seeing the sun again would be this is the coolest thing ever. I feel so much better. That's probably, I guess we need a little bit of that.
Yeah, surviving the Titanic would be.
Bless. Oh, God. Stay away from there.
Yeah, stay away from there indeed. Also on the high seas, we have the list of possible hurricane names for this upcoming hurricane season.
Every year they name 21 storms or so.
And we have one that's kind of floating out there that's on teetering being a storm.
There's like a little tropical storm out there.
Brett.
We had Arlene, and now we're on Brett.
Who's that's an 80s villain.
I'm saying, yeah, right. You're right. So I'm not too worried about Brett.
No. Would you, if someone knocked on your door, got to take cover. Why is that? Hurricane Brett's coming.
Prepare for Brett.
Yeah, no thank you.
What, do I put on a sweater?
Right, exactly.
And so they've got all the names. We can go through these and decide whether or not these might be feisty hurricanes or some real trouble coming.
All right, I like this.
So if we get through Brett, next up, excuse me.
That's about the extent of what Brett can do to you.
Cindy is coming up next.
Maybe, depending on how you spell it. If it's Cindy with an I, you better watch out.
We're on, yes. Followed by Hurricane Don.
No.
Not afraid of Hurricane Don.
Nope.
Hurricane Emily.
Maybe.
Really,
no.
Nothing really there. Franklin is coming up next.
Maybe.
Hurricane Gert.
That's the one you watch out for.
Gert, yeah. It almost sounds German, doesn't it?
Yeah. I remember I had an Aunt Gertrude.
Yeah.
And she would just slap food onto your plate.
So I'm thinking Gert.
Gert's the one to watch out for. Yeah. Watch out for Gert.
Harold. Not afraid of Harold.
No.
Because it sounds exotic, Idalia.
Yeah, that's the one you got to watch out for.
Hurricane Idalia is
Gert and Idalia, yes.
Jose.
Okay.
Katia.
That's another one that could be maybe.
Lee.
No, I'm not afraid of Hurricane Lee.
Yeah. The next three, Lee, Margot, and Nigel.
No,
none of those are going to.
Those sound, once again, like they would hang out with Brett.
Yeah.
Do you see Brett, Lee, Morgan, and or what is it? Nigel. Yeah.
And Margot.
Margot, yeah. I don't know, Margot.
Yeah, not worried about that. Now, I will say Hurricane Ophelia.
Oh, yeah. That's one you don't want to mess with.
It's going to go right into the Gulf.
Yep.
It's going to hit Houston, something. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for Hurricane Ophelia.
Yeah.
D's nuts.
That's her last name? Hurricane Ophelia D's nuts.
I just did a D's nuts joke for no particular reason.
And she'll like it too. Hey-o.
Philippe, that sounds French.
Yeah, I don't have any. Yeah, that's Belle's horse.
That's a sissy hurricane.
Yeah. Philippe is here. Oh, great. What's Philippe going to do? Maybe knock over a flower pot?
Rena, nothing there. No. Sean.
How do you spell it?
Sean.
Okay, that's the one that's going to be a little more.
I think so.
Yeah.
I have funny feelings about Sean. Tammy, no.
No.
Vince.
Yeah, I think Hurricane Vince. I think of Vince McMahon.
Hurricane Vinny.
Yeah, I think of Vince McMahon, though, like, you're fired.
Hey.
So,
Vinny's coming right up Miami.
Yeah, you better watch out.
And then we wrap it up with Hurricane Whitney.
Whitney?
And that'll be that. So that's
there's only like 3 or 4.
There's your hurricane predictions, and so the experts are saying 13 of those will become storms, 6 could become hurricanes, and at least 2 would be major hurricanes. I think that fits.
Ophelia, and who's going to be the other big one? You think?
The other one was.
Gert and Ophelia.
Gert and Ophelia are the ones we need to watch.
Yeah, those I would agree wholeheartedly.
We've now made 3 predictions.
Yes.
5 people are dead at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Hurricane Gert and Hurricane Ophelia will be trouble this year.
Mark it down. Make sure you put a timestamp on this particular podcast.
Can't wait to revisit this.
Exactly. And in a few months, were we right or not? Ophelia D's nuts also took care of some people. Hamish Harding's dead, and Gert, took care of some folks. It is the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast, also known as a Sex and Poop podcast.
Sure.
And apparently on TikTok, the phenomenon of ghost poop is being discussed on
Ghost poop?
Yeah, which I had to think about that as well. Apparently, it is a term used to describe when one stool sinks to the bottom of the toilet and seemingly vanishes without a trace.
Oh, I see. Okay.
When you go,
you've had a big movement and you turn around and there's nothing there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already made its way down.
You've heard the sound, and it's already. And it does freak you out a little bit.
It does a little bit.
You're like, I swear. And for those, by the way, who say they don't look, you're a liar.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at some point. You gotta look, right?
There's important medical information in your poop. Haven't you ever seen those charts they put on the internet sometimes?
Right, and
those are very important.
And that's what's going on here. In other words, they had.
What if like your tonsils came out and you need to tell a doctor that?
What if your intestines came out
and
you start flushing, and the next thing you know, you're pulled into the toilet?
You need to look.
You do need to look.
So what's the concern about? Is the phenomenon of ghost poop?
Yeah, so people are kind of freaking out. They're like, but I did poop. What's going on here? Mm-hmm. As the subject of a hashtag with more than 15 million views on social media on ghost poop is something that should be celebrated, they say, as it's a result of a healthy bowel movement most of the time.
Oh.
One Canadian-based naturopathic doctor even claimed that if you experience this kind of bowel movement, it could mean that you're one of the healthiest people on the planet.
Right.
She revealed that a ghost poop is a sign of a healthy gut.
Yeah, because it's already swimming down. It's already saying, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here. It just flowed through so nicely that it's like, right through. It's because you've got that fiber, you've got enough of those essential fatty acids, your circadian rhythms are in tune with nature, with the light and dark cycle of the day, and you've got that ghost poop.
That's right.
Is what they said.
Little glass of Metamucil, and she'll like it too.
And according to California-based registered dietitian nutritionist Amanda Sauceda, it can also mean your body is properly hydrated.
I had no idea.
Yeah, exactly. If you're wiping, and here's something more than just the ghost poop. If you're wiping and there's no residue on that paper, which would be a ghost wipe.
Yes.
That's a weird phenomenon, too, and you're like, uh-oh. You don't know what's going to go on here, and you're like, wait a second, that doesn't seem to be right. That can mean your diet has a good amount of fiber in it, and you're adequately hydrated. So, by the way, they'll say you shouldn't stress if you're not having a ghost poop every day, as diet fluctuates, which means your stools can as well. So there's some Sex and Poop podcast.
Does that account then for the times when you feel like you just did something tremendous?
And
I mean, like you broke a record, and it goes like it was just that.
Yeah, that's the worst.
So maybe some of it got away before you had a chance.
Yeah,
to see it.
You know what? That is maybe some of it.
I don't like that. I feel cheated.
That and when I always feel like I've accomplished something and I shouldn't, and this is TMI for everybody listening, but I always feel like I accomplished something when there is no plop.
Oh, sure.
When
like an Olympic diver.
Right, exactly. When you're like zero splash, and you're like, I need this to be rated and ranked.
Yep.
That's always, I feel like, wow, I feel lighter now.
Cheers to the kale salad.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I do. So if you have the ghost poop, don't freak out. You're actually doing pretty good for yourself. And same with the ghost wipe. It's all good. And that's why the Sex and Poop podcast is here for you. With Mike and Molson, Too Good for Radio podcast.
This is useful information.
Yes.
And if someone put it on the radio, it's too much. It's too much.
It's too useful.
Nobody turns on the radio to hear entertainment and information.
No.
You turn on to hear garbage and bibble. Bibble and dribble.
That's actually our midday show. On
Bibble and dribble.
Yeah, Bibble and Dribble are the actual midday show, also known as Clay and Buck. But we continue on here on the Too Good for Radio podcast with a very entertaining, it's taken the internet by storm like ghost poop.
Yeah.
An individual from Kentucky's obituary.
We like seeing unique obituaries because usually they're pretty...
they're always so... I even look back on my parents, and I wish we would have zhuzhed it up a little bit.
You're in a tough position there.
Yeah.
And you just kind of do the boilerplate. This is what it is.
They did. They were this, and they were that, and they were avid this. Exactly.
But I think maybe the boys wrote this for him. A guy named James Lovelace in Kentucky. Born and raised in Kentucky in 1963, a state that had been recently leaning toward more liberal values, we might add. Jamie, a divorcee, father, grandfather, and proud owner of a few lots in the trailer park. There's something there's a sentence you don't hear often.
Right, yeah,
proud
exactly. Proud owner.
Had enough and up and died on us June 14th in order to avoid another presidential stolen election mishap in the near future.
Wow.
A gluttonous eater of fried foods and snack cakes, as well as occasional cheese chili dog, James tried in vain to give up the ghost by clogging his own arteries after having a stroke in 2015. His twin boys, Rocky and Rodney, had other plans.
Rocky and Rodney.
Made him go to the hospital.
Those sound like two guys that should be on a midday show. Dibble and dabble.
While waiting in the ER, he was heard saying, "Let's make a break for it," only to be overheard by one of the hospital staff and forced to go through the procedure. On many occasions in life, James was seen in his backyard at the trailer park in the early hours of the morning, hammering beers, standing over country-style ribs and yelling, "It's got a head like a cat on it," while nearby neighbors would peek out their windows, bearing looks of disgust and amazement, as his party guests were slurring remarks about needing to speed up his cooking style. "We've been here since 5 o'clock, they say. I got to work in the morning."
Yikes.
We don't know if he was married, but certainly a ladies' man. There was Kathy, Mary Lou, Tammy, Deborah, Carrie, Tina, etc., etc.
And she'll like it too.
"It's in the bones," he told us, and proudly pointed at his skinny, pasty white legs. "Women love a good shin."
If I had a quarter for every time someone mentioned my shin.
Women love a good shin.
They love a good shin.
We might think he even have some females waiting for him on the other side. Jamie loved his family more than anything else in the world, except for ice-cold Bush, room temperature Bush.
She'll like it too. Sorry.
Tina or Tammy?
Tammy likes a room temperature Bush.
He loved them more. He like T-bones, New York strip, prime rib, shrimp, swimming, poker, hatchback Mustang GTs, tank tops, Kentucky men's basketball, and his personal copy of Eddie Murphy's Raw. He leaves behind his second favorite son, Rocky, and his favorite son, Rodney.
Okay. He's only got 2.
He's got a younger brother, Joey, and an unofficial daughter named Melissa.
Unofficial daughter?
Who also lives in the trailer park.
Okay, gotcha.
As well as a pair of old boxers, which have Budweiser, the King of Rears, printed on it.
I want to say he was buried in that, right?
And
that seems like
that.
a guy to be buried. Like, he would have an open casket buried in those boxers with his ass where his head should be.
Right.
And that would be the lasting thing that Jamie had for you.
Budweiser, the King of Rears. He will be moderately missed. So
that also seems like a title of a movie behind the swinging doors back when Family Video was a thing.
Right.
Budweiser, the King of Rears. Oh, Jamie. Thank you for that fantastic obituary. Moving on, this is a very interesting Am I the A-hole from Reddit, because it involves a situation where a friend invites an entire family over for a dinner.
Okay.
And what transpires, so this couple that gets invited over has a 5-year-old little boy. The couple that invited them over has a 5-year-old girl, right? So they're kind of friends as well. Mm-hmm. They hadn't actually, like, the dad of the family that invited him over is kind of a pretty decent chef. But what they run into is what is served, the 5-year-old boy doesn't like.
Okay.
So I will give you what this guy said. It's a very lengthy Am I the A-hole, so I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version.
Hit it.
So they go, a friend of my wife's invited my family, me, my wife, and our son, over for dinner. As long as we've known him, this friend has kept a very strict diet, which has almost always led us to eating over at his place. But he's an excellent cook, so I've never minded. We have not, however, seen him since both our children were infants, so it didn't really matter, like they had their own food. For dinner, we were served salmon with quinoa and arugula. Okay?
Right next to chicken nuggets. That's every kid's favorite meal.
So my son he basically says, my kid doesn't throw a lot of tantrums. He's not really a picky eater, but he gets to slap the salmon. He's kind of shuffling things around. He does, if he gets hangry, as most kids do, he gets a little out of control. So I asked my kid if he's happy with his dinner, and the kid said, no, I'm not really happy. He goes, I basically then said, haha, kids, right? And asked if there's anything else for my son to eat. He's like, hey, meal's great, but kid's not eating. He's going to get a little hangry. My wife's friend said that his daughter just eats whatever he makes, so he doesn't keep quote-unquote kid food around the house.
That's the first swing.
My wife said it was fine. Our son would be fine. While he's a mild kid, he definitely gets hangry, and this was the beginning of the night, so we're just kind of starting. So we anticipated being there for an additional hour or so. And so he goes, hey, listen, my son needs to eat. Otherwise, things are going to be going out of control here. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be gone for a few minutes. I'm going to excuse myself from the house. I'm going to go pick up something for our kid because you don't have anything here. My wife, friend seemed irked, but said he tried to keep my plate warm. Guy leaves with the 5-year-old. He goes, I was gone for about 30 minutes, came back with a Happy Meal. Ordered extra fries in case the other people's daughter wanted any of the fries, which she's not allowed to have because they're on a strict diet there. By the time I was back, dinner was winding down. My son ate his meal, we had dessert, and he went off to play with his friend. It was definitely a hiccup in the night, but things were fine. We had a good time, but my wife definitely was cold with me. When we got home 3 hours after dinner, she told me that I was an ass at dinner for no reason. I pointed out that if I hadn't got our son dinner, he would have been a monster the entire way home, to which she replied we would have left earlier. I said I was just looking to solve a problem as it happened, and that if her friend had been more accommodating, we wouldn't have been in the situation in the first place. She got offended on his behalf, and we decided to just go to bed because we clearly weren't getting anywhere. It's now been 2 days since, and things are still stilted between us, and I'm not sure where I went wrong. Am I the a-hole for leaving dinner to get my son food, even though dinner was served?
No, I don't think you are. I think a few mistakes were made. You invite people over and they've got a kid. One of the things you say is, hey, anything special for the kid.
Right. Because just because your kid eats everything doesn't mean other kids will.
Here's what we're having. And for God's sakes, have some awareness that maybe you're a little bit out of the norm. You're kind of on the low end of the bell curve there if your kid eats salmon with arugula.
And quinoa.
Right. And so at least acknowledge that. And I don't know, have some macaroni available or something stupid.
Well, and some people online were saying, like under the Reddit, that the guy here is the a-hole for leaving and that they should have been aware, knowing that this person's on a strict diet, they should have brought stuff with them in case this were to be an issue.
And that's mistake number 2, is you say, hey, just so I can let my kid know, what are we having for dinner? It's this. Cool. You know what? I'm going to bring a peanut butter sandwich.
Correct.
It would have been easier. And that's just not very good. At 5, you think these things out. You think these things through.
I was wondering about that because I don't have kids, and I'm wondering at what point you stop bringing the extra snacks for the kid just in case. Like I know, 2, 3, you're always bringing the Cheerios or whatever it may be. I didn't know if at 5 you still bring. But if you know this individual is a strict kind of diet person and know your kid, you probably should have come more well prepared.
Yes.
It is kind of awkward to leave and then knowing that the family's so strict diet and then to bring in what is probably forbidden to the 5. I think that's where he went wrong too, is bringing the Happy Meal in, knowing that kid that he's bringing in isn't privy to Happy Meals. So now you've put the parents who invited you over in the first place for the meal. First of all, you're leaving their home. And they should have done a better job of accommodating because not all 5-year-olds like salmon, quinoa, and arugula. But then to leave for a while and then come back with a Happy Meal, that's where you go a little, okay, now you're kind of rubbing it in their face.
And there's nothing in the house? There was nothing? A bowl of cereal? Nothing?
We don't keep quote-unquote kid food.
Yeah,
what does your 5-year-old eat? You couldn't have you don't have an Eggo waffle somewhere?
That seems a little weird too.
Yeah. So I kind of get both people's take on this because it is, I think, rude to leave a dinner party. But what else were you going to do? And I don't think the wife should be that standoffish to where 2 days later she's still pissed at the guy for it. It's something
that was less than ideal, but I don't know what other solution you have other than
Then just if you're in that situation, once again, this is things that you can learn. We're trying to educate and that's why we're not on the radio, because why would you want to learn something from the radio?
Oh, yeah, no.
That's pish posh.
That's useful.
Yeah, why would you want to do that? Always have something when you're invited over and you have children that are age, always have something as a backup just in case. Because even the kid who is the least picky, if they're in a different kind of situation or different surrounding, they may flip on a dime on you.
Yeah.
So always have a backup just in case. I don't think the wife should have been sharpening her claws at the husband over this, but we do have something about sharpening knives from back in the day. An interesting way they were sharpened by a certain group of warriors.
Archaeologists in Spain have come across a weapon sharpener that is intentionally in the shape of a wiener.
Of a dong?
Yeah.
All right. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We've had poop and dong.
Yep. And they say phalluses surprisingly appear in archaeological discoveries. Not coincidentally, in ancient Rome, it was believed that the male member was symbolized as good luck.
I don't think any woman would agree with that.
What's that on your keychain? That's my good luck penis.
You used to have a rabbit's foot. Don't stroke this one for luck.
Got a good luck penis?
Yeah. Good luck penis, good luck penis.
Phalluses were painted on the walls of houses. They also created mosaics.
People get arrested for that.
It was a completely different time.
It was a different time back then.
And I think do you think maybe this explains why guys are so free with sending dick pics around? Because there's something in our DNA that says this is a
needs
good
to be
thing.
Seen.
This is something to be worshipped.
No, I just think people nowadays are just a-holes.
They created mosaics, sculptures, and frescoes with erect penises.
Because I'm pretty sure I don't think a woman who gets a dick pic unsolicited goes, wow, good luck for the rest of the day. Find a dick pic, pick it up, and then your day is full of luck.
Archaeologists discovered a penis-shaped stone, 15 centimeters long. I don't know what that is. About a mile or something.
Yeah. A John Holmes-sized...
It was located in a medieval tower. It's an interesting object because it materializes the symbolic association between violence, weapons, and masculinity.
I will say this. You wouldn't even have to really battle anyone on a battlefield. If I look over at your camp and you have a giant, you just have a bunch of giant wieners that you're just like, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to mess with those guys.
And they're far away on a hill, so you can't really see that it's not.
You're like, do you think?
You think it's like theirs.
Yes.
You think they're sharpening it on their wieners.
Yeah, they put it right in the crotchal area, and they're just like, yeah, come on. And I'm like, nope, out. Sorry, you win this battle. Here, have my land. Wiener sharpener.
So yeah, in this case, they said it was used for sharpening weapons because they can tell that there's cut marks and things that they were showing that it was sharpened. Oh, here I'll turn my computer around so you can see.
So that everyone can see this.
This is what this looks.
It looked like a ball and cup, actually, kind of.
I mean, it's not just the elongated
shaft.
I mean, it's actually got the head and a
little bulb on top,
the little mouth, the little penis mouth.
Hello there, and you'll like it too. They called it the Big Hurt back in the day.
Yes. And so there's all these archaeological discoveries that they're making and finding out that we were just as much horn dogs back in the 15th century Spain as we are today. Nothing's really
Welcome
changed.
to my new El Only Fano from Spain. Watch me sharpen my blade.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and finally, on the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast, the new trend in China for cuisine.
Yeah, if your kid doesn't like eating salmon and arugula, there has been a resurgence.
Go eat rocks, kid.
Yeah, there's been a resurgence of a centuries-old practice called suodiu, Suodiu, which means suck and discard.
Sorry.
In tough economic times, there has been a new money-saving ingredient for stir fries: rocks. Videos of chefs making stir-fried rocks are the latest trend on Chinese social media. They fry up pebbles with garlic and chili. Okay.
And then you just suck rocks?
However it's made, the dish known as suck and discard is having a resurgence. It's kind of being used as prank videos, apparently.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, hey, what you cooking there? Here, try some. And they realize they've got...
Oh, no.
Gravel in their mouth.
That's awful. That would like chip teeth. If you're trying to save money, that's chipping teeth there.
The dish is said to date back hundreds of years when boatmen in a landlocked province would run out of animals and vegetables, and so they turned to minerals.
You just swallow them whole?
And then you suck and discard. You don't swallow anything.
Okay.
Which part did you miss about suck and discard? You suck and discard.
By the way, remember that 70s cop show, Suck and Discard?
Tonight on Cinemax.
Suck and discard.
After the kids go to bed. The dishes also lists the Tua people, an ethnic minority who originate from the Wuling Mountain. According to one food blog, river stones have a natural fishy taste that's enhanced with when you fry it.
All right.
Many people are not convinced. Some have flagged the choking risks. No, you don't, because you're not supposed to swallow it. You suck and discard. It's right there in the name.
Truth. They're telling you right away.
Right.
You don't suck and swallow, it's suck and discard.
I mean, like if we called, if you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and get the, the meat, not the bone thing, or something. Something it says in there, get rid of the bones.
Exactly. Boneless wings to wings with bones. Yeah.
And so that is the latest trend. If you see that bouncing around, and if you go over to somebody's house and they ask your kid, "Would you like some rocks to eat?" Yeah,
you say no.
No.
Well, because they've already messed up because it's not to eat; it's just to suck and just. So let me ask you this: then where do you discard the rods? And can they be reused?
Have you ever had crawfish?
Yeah. The head
same
sucking?
kind of thing. Yeah, you suck it and you discard it. So this is really not. I don't know. We're positioning this like it's unusual, but it's not.
No, exactly. There's different. There's
oysters,
different ways.
Kind of a thing, or
you don't eat the whole shell. You just kind of suck and discard.
You suck and discard. We do this quite a bit. Watermelon.
Really with the seeds. Yeah, sunflower seeds themselves. You suck and discard. You just crack and go.
Yeah, I don't see why this is.
Why is this so
unusual?
controversial?
Yeah, not at all. Not in the least.
So, by the way, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So, bibble and babble in the afternoon, and suck and discard in the morning.
And Godspeed, Titanic, stupid idiots at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, you
morons.
dummies, Stockton Rush.
Oh man.
Well, we'll see if we're right, and watch out for Ophelia.
Yeah,
we'll talk next week.
They're so dead.
Already. They are. They're really dead.